how we're going to make the floor. With the floor we have a chassis pack. Now you may be lucky, I may have already glued one up for you. These have not been glued. If you just undo the nuts and bolts, you'll soon discover whether or not yours is glued and this one's not. So that comes in 3 parts. There's the floor, the cab floor and engine support, which will go on top of it, and the base, which is going to hold the motor bit, and that goes there. We've got 2 side rails, we've got 2 chassis spacers, we've got 1 buffer, and if you're lucky we've got 4 little bracing pieces. Show you how these go together. So first of all, there's a bit of colouring to do. So if you've got a floor that isn't coloured here, you need to colour in around here, about all around here, about 4 or 5 millimetres away from this edge here. You don't need to do there, but all of this colour in, and you need to colour around the 4 edges of the main floor. You don't need to worry about colouring that or that. The buffer beam, you need to colour around the sides and the top. Now the top is the one with the little black dot in it, and that's actually for the coupling hook. So just round there and there. You can do it on the bottom as well if you want. You don't have to worry about the chassis spacers or the bracing pieces, or these. These are all coloured before. The unit's going to be assembled with all these pieces on it, and okay, like that, and then I'll just take that off to make this easy. These pieces are going to go on like this, with the chassis spacers between them. Like that, and then the buffer will go across there. Okay, now I'll take you through that slowly because there's some important things to look for. But that's what it's going to look like, and I suggest you do a dry run just so you know what you're doing. Okay? I suggest you start with this section here first, so we'll put that to one side. Assuming everything's all right, as usual, if you found anything didn't fit, and something was too long, too short, come and see Graham and he'll sort it out for you. The parts of this that are going to glue to the floor are the one with this thick, here, this is, I don't know what it is, some sort of pipe here, okay, and this is going to go up against the floor, okay, so we're going to put that on our work surface. Same this side, so make sure they're the right way up, okay? This thick bar should be pointing down when we're doing this assembly. The chassis spacers, it doesn't really matter which way they're facing. We're going to take the glue off, cap off away from our eyes, and we're going to smear a little bit on each end of this. Don't put any on the bottom or top yet. Okay, so I'm going to put the chassis spacer there between those 2 rails. Same here, smear a bit of glue on, put the cap back on, and we're going to put that there. Now this, it's important that it's square, okay, and by that I mean you don't want it like that, okay, it's got to be like that. The easiest way of doing that is actually going to be to put it on here, but make sure there's no glue going down, and just line up the side edge here and the back edge here. And if this is flush at the back and this is flush down the side, then the thing is square. Okay. If you want to add some extra bracing, use these, put a little bit of glue on these edges, this one here, and I'll just pick that up, pop them in the corner like that. Okay, one in each corner, and that will give it extra strength. Okay. When you're happy with that, I suggest you set it aside to dry and go and do something else for the moment. Come back and restart the video. Okay, we should now have our finished unit here. We'll just put that to one side. And if we haven't previously assembled the base, we'll do that now. So you need F7, this little base here, and we're going to smear glue over there and around here, and we're going to place it there like that. And no need to stick it very hard yet. Do the same with F2, the cab floor, smear around there like that, put it on there. You'll see there's markings on here to show you roughly where it goes. But the most important thing is that the holes all line up. So once we've got it in, we've smeared the glue around, check the cab floor engine support is flush with the back of the floor, push the screws through. And this may take a bit of jiggling around just to get everything to go. That's it. And same there. Turn it over, and what I'll do is just spin the nuts down just temporarily. It means you don't lose the nuts and bolts, that's the main advantage, but it also helps hold it together while the glue sets. Okay. Now, if you've got it all screwed together, or I've previously glued it, it's now secure enough that you can carry on assembling. So let's get our rails, okay, and they're going to sit on there. So what we're going to do is turn this over like that, okay, and then we're going to glue along the tops here, okay, all the way around there. Then we're going to turn it over again onto here. Oh, yours won't fall apart because yours will all be glued together. Okay, and we're going to make sure that the ends are flush. Okay, make sure it's right at each end, and we're going to make sure that we've got an equal gap each side, and you'll see this one isn't. All right, so I'm just going to move it until it looks right. And you'll find actually your eyes are better than using a ruler. When you're happy with that, the last thing to do is just to smear some glue all over this end. So along the floor, along the end of the rails, and along the chassis spacer. And we're going to put the buffer on with the little dot at the top. And we need to make this with the floor. Okay. You may want to leave that until you've glued it, until the rest of the glue is dried, but if you can do it, you can do it now. If it falls off, put everything else, leave this to one side, and you'll find when you come back to put it on, if you just push it on in the right place, it will glue straight away. If you don't want that to happen, put a smear of more glue on. And then you will have, looking not unlike this, let me just put some side rails on, you will have your finished chassis, and you'll find that you can put your cab and engine on top of that. All it needs now is a motor, and we'll do that at our next session.